I'm Carol Faring Shepley. I'm a board member of Bellefontaine Cemetery, and I'm the author of Movers and Shakers, Scallywags and Suffragettes, Tales from Bellefontaine Cemetery. St. Louis, Missouri was a hotbed of the suffrage movement. St. Louis women fought long and hard to secure the vote. Founded in 1867, the Women's Suffrage Association of Missouri was the center of their efforts. Now, it's important to remember that today, when we consider the fact that women voting is self-evident, that in those days, these women had to have great courage. You didn't mention the vote for women in polite society. They were hooted at and jeered at in the streets. I'm going to introduce my friend, Betsy Fordyce, descendant of 3 of these courageous women, and we are standing beside the tombstone of her great-great-grandmother, Penelope Pope Allen.
Thanks, Carol. Penelope Allen co-founded with Virginia Minor the suffrage association that Carol mentioned in 1867, and she spoke to the Missouri legislature demanding the right to vote that year. In 1882, leading the same organization, her daughter Penelope Allen Orrick spoke to the Missouri legislature. And in 1917, her daughter, my grandmother, Christine Orrick Fordyce, spoke to the Missouri legislature, saying, "Gentlemen, 50 years ago, my grandmother came before you asking for the enfranchisement of women. 25 years ago, my mother came to make the same request. Tonight, I am asking for the ballot. Are you going to make it necessary for my daughter to appear in her turn?" Women finally got the vote in 1919, but sadly, my grandmother died of the Spanish flu just 2 months before the 19th Amendment was ratified. These 3 women dedicated their entire lives to getting women the vote, and they did succeed, but not one of them actually got to vote.
Betsy, you must be so proud of your grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother. But what do you take away from your research into their lives?
Generally, I gained a few insights into the process of social change. One is how long it takes. Also, the perseverance, the dedication, and the courage that are required. The writer Parker Palmer calls it living in the tragic gap, and that means committing yourself to a cause greater than yourself, fully knowing that it may not be realized in your lifetime. The social reformers also, which has really struck me, is they have to have the ability to tolerate being roundly criticized and even vilified, as Carol mentioned, by others who don't share their views. Specifically, I noticed in my family that certain conditions of these women's lives made it possible for them to do what they did. Their husbands and fathers were change makers. They were lawyers, judges, legislators, very active in building this country. Not afraid to speak truth to power, these women had a very strong sense of their own self-worth. Thanks to them, I've become a person in my own right. I've made all my own choices, some good, some bad, but today I have a real sense of freedom and personal fulfillment, and it's all because of them. Because after all, they're my heroes. Thank you.
Women have always had a voice in St. Louis, even before the vote. Beyond the ballot, St. Louis and suffrage brings their inspirational stories and groundbreaking achievements to the forefront. Discover them at the Missouri History Museum. Plan your visit at mohistory.org.